let's have a look at the grid then for our second truck race of the day. Stuart Oliver, the 10 times champion, on pole in the Volvo by 1,000th of a second ahead of the 7 times champion Ryan Smith in the Daimler Freightliner. David Jenkins and Stephen Powell resuming their battle on the second row of the grid. Row 3, Simon Reed in the Iveco alongside Bradley Smith in the 46. Fourth row of the grid, Jock Borthwick in number 32, displaying the My Name's Doddy colours alongside 68 Craig Reed in his Iveco. And on row 5, Tom O'Rourke failed to finish race 1, will start alongside the number 12 of Michael Oliver. Sixth row of the grid, 95 Ricky Collett and number 92 Simon Faulkner. And behind them, Simon Cole, number 14, and number 41, and John Bowler in the number 14. Just making sure they're all there. John Bowler is there, number 14. I didn't see Tom O'Rourke, so we'll wait and confirm that in a moment. Division 2, meanwhile, John Powell, number 6, is on pole alongside the 5 of Adam Bint, our winner earlier on. Row 12 is number 10 Craig Evans and 22 Paul Rivette, and Jim Bennett, number 28, completing the grid. If Tom O'Rourke is there, we'll just check as they come through the hairpin. Should be on the 5th row. No, it looks as though Tom O'Rourke has withdrawn, unfortunately, mechanical problems from the earlier race. Hopefully we'll see him back out and racing tomorrow. The DAF pace truck leads them round then. Can Stuart Oliver even the score with Ryan Smith? Ryan Smith took 3 wins and Stuart Oliver 2 at the season opener at Brands Hatch. Looking on board here, I think that's Jock Borthwick we're riding on board with the number 32 truck. Lining up alongside Craig Reed. Seeing the driver at work at the wheel of the MAN. See the hefty steel roll cage to protect the driver, all the equipment as well. Driver very securely strapped down in these 100-mile-an-hour race trucks. Good to see John Bowler's made it out. Clutch problems prevented him from racing the number 14 MAN in the earlier race. Man from Stockport's ready to show what he can do. We're on board with Adam Bint once again in Division 2 as well. This will be another 15-minute race. Tension beginning to mount then ahead of race number 2 of the weekend for the British Truck Racing Championship. Stuart Oliver, Ryan Smith, David Jenkins, Stephen Powell, Simon Reed, Bradley Smith, Jock Borthwick, Craig Reed, there's Michael Oliver. Ricky Collett's back out, Simon Faulkner's out there as well. I don't think Simon Cole is there either, the number 41. No, he's missing from the back of Division 1. So a couple of non-starters due to problems in the first race. We'll see them back out, I'm sure, tomorrow. Their crews will be working hard. 15 minutes about to get underway then from the rolling start. They thunder down towards Hatchett's hairpin for the first time. Here we go with race 2 of the weekend for the British Truck Racing Championship. Ryan Smith tries to cut across, but Stuart Oliver's got the inside line. Stephen Powell gives it a banzai move down the outside. He tried that in race 1 as well. Division 1 make their way through already. Division 2 overlapping with them. Adam Bint's got a good start up the inside there, side by side with Ricky Collett in the Division 1 MAN number 95. It's Stuart Oliver who leads from Ryan Smith. Stephen Powell in 3rd place, trying to hold off David Jenkins. He's having to go at Ryan Smith for 2nd place. Adam Bint proving he can run with Division 1 once again. John Bowler's dropped back a little in the 14. They head up towards Senna for the first time. Stephen Powell gets the tighter line, trying to attack Ryan Smith. Jenkins in 4th, then Simon Reed rounds out the top 5. Jim Bennett at the back of the field in the 28s. Craig Evans under fire from Paul Rivette, who hasn't got the best of starts here in Division 2. He's dropped back a place or 2. There's John Bowler in there, the number 14, battling with his old Division 2 rivals. Up towards the completion of lap number 1 then. Adam Bint already up there with Division 1. Here comes Ricky Collett, barrelling down the inside, retakes the rather cheeky Division 2 leader, taking on the more powerful machines. Just ahead of them is Craig Reed. Simon Faulkner still behind Adam Bint as well as John Bowler. They complete the first lap then. The lead is with Stuart Oliver ahead of Ryan Smith. They're already a couple of seconds clear of Stephen Powell in that third place. There's been leading Division 2. Second in that group behind him is John Powell, as up the inside. John Powell, excuse me, he says to Simon Faulkner. They've already got ahead of John Bowler, so John Powell thinking I can take on the Division 1 trucks as well. This is great stuff in the early stages of this race too. Ricky Collett coming under fire again from Adam Bintz. Now what he's thinking, I reckon, is if he can put a couple of Division 1 trucks between himself and John Powell, it'll help him take another Division 2 win. He's having a go at Ricky Collett, who had that spectacular engine blow-up in the first weekend of the year at Brands Hatch. Flames and smoke out of the back of his MAN. New engine in the truck for this round. The Collett's family run their heavy haulage business based up near Halifax. You often see their trucks pulling and pushing some of the biggest loads seen on Britain's roads. Simon Reed, also a freight company boss based in Stoke, having a go at David Jenkins in the Digraph Transport MAN. He wants to attack Stephen Powell for third place, but he's being kept busy at the moment. To the right-hander, Hatchett's hairpin. This is allowing Powell to escape in third place. Bradley Smith in sixth position, holding back Michael Oliver. Had a crash-filled season last year, the younger of the Oliver family. Enjoying better fortunes so far this season. Ryan Smith to the inside takes the lead. And not often we see moves made there at the crossing. That's a good move by Ryan Smith. He's taken Stuart Oliver. I think Stuart rather caught by surprise there as well, just throwing it up the inside there. Fly-in Ryan. He's already got the fastest lap of the race, 1:11.351. And now watch that Daimler Freightliner start to escape. Once again, no stopping Ryan Smith here at Pembrey. Powell is in third place. Then we've got David Jenkins. He's coming under fire from Reed again. Simon Reed, that is, the older of the two brothers. Then it's Bradley Smith, Michael Oliver. Then a gap back to Jock Borthwick, the Scotsman ahead of Craig Reed. Jock Borthwick upholding Scottish honour in this race with Tom O'Rourke, a non-starter. No Simon Cole out in this race either. He broke down in race 1. Over the line they go. Still Adam Bint leading Division 2 further back. He was 2.3 seconds ahead of John Powell as we watch Michael Oliver attacking Bradley Smith. Then Jock Borthwick, Craig Reed. There's Ricky Collett up with them. There's Adam Bint being chased by the DAF of John Powell. Third in Division 2, a bit further back, is Paul Rivett. He's now got ahead of Craig Evans. John Bowler has dropped back into 16th place, so clearly his MAN still not quite running to its full potential as Simon Reed hits the back of David Jenkins. Excuse me, David, he says. Two Staffordshire-based racers fighting it out. And here's Craig Reed, first ever Division 1 win in the very last race of last season, attacking Jock Borthwick. Craig Reed, the Division 2 champion of 2 years ago. It was Luke Garrett who won the Division 2 title last year, but he's not appeared in the championship this year. We know Luke has wanted to run in the European Championship. I'm not certain if he's over in Italy this weekend. Over the line go the leaders. Stuart Oliver not letting Ryan Smith get away. They're separated by just over half a second that time through. Lap time's almost identical. Stephen Powell now rather on his own in third, the number 3, and it's Jenkins and Reed fourth and fifth. Bradley Smith under fire from Michael Oliver for 6th position. Jock Borthwick is in 8th ahead of Craig Reed, just ahead of Craig Reed. Collett rounds out the top 10. Then it's the Division 2 battlers. What's the gap between those two now? 2.3 seconds between Bint and John Powell. Simon Faulkner next, then it's Paul Rivett. Simon Faulkner showing much better pace this weekend. It's taken him a couple of years to learn his craft at the wheel of the Iveco Stralis, the ex-Reed machine. Speaking of Reed, here's Simon Reed again on the rear bumper of David Jenkins. There's Simon Faulkner chasing John Powell. I think it was here at Pembrey 2 years ago that Simon Faulkner made his truck racing debut in the number 92, the man from Waterlooville in Hampshire. Here's Paul Rivett, just behind Faulkner, the Napa Auto Parts MAN, battling it out with Craig Evans. Final runners are Bowler and Jim Bennett. That John Bowler, I can tell you, was pulled into the pits, so more problems with the 14, unfortunately. Simon Faulkner takes John Powell. Now that, he runs wide onto the grass on the exit, but that's exactly what Adam Bint wants to see. Because that's a Division 1 truck in between him and his main Division 2 rival, which is allowing Adam Bint to consolidate his lead. Stephen Powell trying to catch Stuart Oliver. As of course, with David Jenkins being kept busy by Simon Reed, Jenkins is losing time. As we mentioned, John Bowler has pulled into the pits, so maybe more clutch problems for the Division 2 graduates. Down into the right-hander at Sen. They go towards Brooklands. First three breaking away because these two are fighting it out for fourth place and losing time. Bradley Smith being able to close in as well. The Scrapco Recycling sponsored number 46. I remember seeing his father Tony Smith have a bit of a shunt here in his Sisu in the wet at Pembrey a few years ago. I was on the PA commentary on that occasion, along with Johnny Palmer. Down towards Hatchett's hairpin. The lead is up to 3 seconds now. Ryan Smith is pulling away once again. Stuart Oliver still second, and Stephen Powell in third. Powell trying to chase down Oliver. There is the man from Kent in the MAN. Lives literally down the road from Brands Hatch. Stuart Oliver from Northumberland, the other end of England. Britain's greatest ever truck race. We ride on board with Jock Borthwick. See the driving style here from Jock. One hand on the wheel, the other hand working the gear change. Make it into almost an art form, these truck racers. Incredibly skilled drivers. Jock Borthwick at the back of this group, chasing Michael Oliver. A bit of smoke there from David Jenkins. Looks like he's in trouble. Yeah, quite a lot of smoke there. David Jenkins with problems. Now, I think that's engine smoke. Is that tyre or engine smoke? There is damage to the tyre, look. He's been hit by Simon Reed. There's damage to the front of Simon's truck, so David Jenkins is going to have to pull in. They won't let him continue while he's emitting that amount of smoke. He's going to have to be pulled in, unfortunately, David Jenkins. There's problems there for the 69 MAN. He's laying a James Bond-style smoke screen, and Simon Reed spins out. Now, was that on oil from David Jenkins' truck, I wonder? Simon won't be too happy there. He spins out. That's fifth place gone. That's allowed Bradley Smith up to fifth. You can see it's the rear tyre is punctured on Jenkins' truck as well. That's causing some of the smoke, but I think there's engine smoke there as well. There must have been contact between the two of them. Simon Reed gets going again, or does he? He's on the grass. Now, was that spin because of damage to the truck? I'm not sure. David Jenkins is surely going to have to pull in here. They surely won't be able to continue with that amount of smoke coming off the back of the truck from that. Is it just tyre smoke? It's hard to tell whether there's tyre smoke or engine smoke there. So Bradley Smith is now up into fifth position. Michael Oliver sixth. Jock Borthwick in seventh. Craig Reed, Ricky Collett eighth and ninth now. Just over 5 minutes of the race to go. Jenkins continuing on, but surely that tyre is going to let go altogether and come off the rim. Craig Reed having a go at Jock Borthwick down towards the hairpin. Next to is Ricky Collett. We'll see what happened. This is the incident which saw Simon Reed spin out there. That was just truck got hooked up there. You can see the damage to the front of Simon Reed's truck, so he's hit the back of David Jenkins pretty hard somewhere in their battle. We didn't see it happen, but well, we haven't seen much of these two either. Ryan Smith and Stuart Oliver clear of Stephen Powell at the front of the field. All the action's in the pack behind them. Here's the 32. MV Commercials and Freehouse-sponsored truck of Jock Borthwick being chased by Craig Reed. This is now for 7th place. Simon Reed is all the way down in 15th after that spin. He's dropped behind everyone with the exception of Jim Bennett. It's over 4 minutes to go for Ryan Smith out in front. Here comes Craig Reed. Now, David Jenkins is still running, and in fact, that punctured tyre has not really slowed him down. Of course, they are twin wheels on the rear axle, so it won't be affecting him too much. Just making a lot of smoke, although he is slowing a bit now because Bradley Smith has caught him. Bradley Smith, no relation to Ryan Smith, incidentally. Down into the hairpin. Bradley Smith, Michael Oliver. Jock Borthwick sliding about there, and Craig Reed very sideways too, so I think there is some fluid down at the hairpin there. We saw Simon Reed spin earlier on. This is the battle for what is now 7th place. See, lap times very similar between these two. There's David Jenkins, and he's dropping back now. I think it might be a hub or a half shaft seal that's leaking there from that damaged wheel. There is fluid leaking out, which is why the circuit's getting slippery. He's lost out to Bradley Smith, he's lost out to Michael Oliver. They're lapping Jim Bennett. Gentleman Jim moves aside, lets them through. There's Ricky Collett in the background as well behind this group. David Jenkins at least electing to try and keep going to pick up a few points. Meanwhile, we haven't forgotten Division 2. It's still Adam Bint leading Division 2. In the battle for second between John Powell and Paul Rivett. Here comes the Napa Auto Parts.eu MAN on the tail of the DAF. Meanwhile, Craig Reed's having a good go at Jock Borthwick here. He has a look on the inside at the hairpin. He's got the tighter line. But Borthwick will get the power down on that outside line as they come to the right at Spitfires. I think Craig Reed might have got the move done. Indeed he has. Good driving there by Craig Reed up into 7th position, and they're catching David Jenkins' damaged truck as well. See the smoke coming out there. I think it's fluid leaking from possibly the rear shaft or the wheel hub. After that contact with Simon Reed earlier on, there's a bit of smoke from the behind the cab as well, so there may be more damage than we can see there. Paul Rivett still under fire from Craig Evans. This is the fight for second in Division 2 because Adam Bint is quite a way clear of them. Just got a glimpse of Adam there in the foreground. Simon Faulkner, I think, has got ahead of him now in the more powerful Division 1 machine. Indeed he has. To the closing stages now. Is John Powell going to be able to catch Adam Bint? Paul Rivett up the inside, he takes John Powell. So the answer is no, John Powell is not going to be able to catch Adam Bint. Craig Evans having a go as well. Is John Powell in trouble here, possibly? So they've reeled him in, these two. Craig Evans is going to have a go here as well. Have a look at the lap times as they cross the line. Yeah, John Powell about a second slower on that last lap. Reed and Borthwick have got ahead of David Jenkins. Ricky Collett could get through as well. Now this race, race 2, sets the grid, of course, for race 4. David Jenkins is now down to 8th. If he can hold off Ricky Collett for 8th place, that'll give him pole position for race 4 tomorrow. I don't think he's going to, though. You can see the smoke still pouring off that rather hobbled 69 truck. Surely Collett's going to get through. Meanwhile, here comes Ryan Smith into the hairpin for what will be the last time. Still 2.5 seconds ahead of Stuart Oliver. We've almost forgotten about our leading trio. Stephen Powell up there in 3rd. Now keep an eye on whether Ricky Collett's going to get ahead. And as Jock Borthwick goes sideways there, is Collett going to get ahead of David Jenkins? Still laying his smoke screen. Rechristening him Dick Dastardly. Ryan Smith out towards Senna for the last time. It's going to be 2 out of 2 for the 7 times champion. And Collett up the inside into the hairpin. He goes through and loses it. David Jenkins back up the inside. He's hit whatever fluid there is down there. I think Ricky Collett will be cursing that, because if he stayed ahead for 8th place, that will give him pole position for tomorrow's second race. Here comes Ryan Smith. It's going to be 2 out of 2 for the reigning 7-time champion. He's done the fastest lap of the race, 1:11.345, took the lead a couple of laps in at the crossing from Stuart Oliver and takes his second win. Oliver will come over for 2nd place. Bits of rubber showering everywhere as they go towards the pit wall. Stephen Powell, 3rd place once again. And meanwhile in Division 2, it's going to be another win for that menacing black Volvo Aerodyne of Adam Bint. He's clear of Paul Rivett in 2nd in the division. Meanwhile, Bradley Smith, an excellent 4th in Division 1. 5th goes to Michael Oliver. Good result for him as well. Craig Reed 6th. Jock Borthwick 7th. Now, is David Jenkins going to hang on for 8th? I think he is. Still a battle between Craig Evans and John Powell. John Powell with a problem there towards the end because he's dropped behind Evans as well now. Over the line goes Simon Faulkner, and here comes Adam Bint. He weaves his way over to the pit wall, takes another win in Division 2. That'll extend his championship lead. Paul Rivett second in Division 2, then Craig Evans. John Powell slowing in the closing stages. Jim Bennett a lap down, 5th in Division 2. We lost John Bowler into the pits, and we lost Simon Reed as well, 3 laps from home. No stopping Flying Ryan here at Pembrey so far this weekend. Took the lead with a rather audacious move through the crossing early on. Won by 3.36 seconds. Adam Bint celebrates as well, 2 out of 2 in Division 2. There is Simon Reed's truck. That's where he came to rest, sadly. Spun out of the hairpin and then pulled off. So Smith ahead of Oliver and Powell once again. Stephen Powell another 4.5 seconds back in that 3rd place in the end. 4th place going to Bradley Smith. Great result for him, just ahead of Michael Oliver. Craig Reed 6th after passing Jock Borthwick, and Ricky Collett did cross the line in 8th place. He did get ahead of David Jenkins, so provisionally Ricky Collett will be on the front row of the race with Jock Borthwick for race 4 tomorrow. David Jenkins, damage to his truck, he had to settle for 9th place, and Simon Faulkner completing the top 10. Then we've got the Division 2 runners. Adam Bint taking the win in that class by 3.78 seconds ahead of Paul Rivett. Craig Evans in 3rd ahead of John Powell, who was struggling in the closing stages, and Jim Bennett completing the finishes. Simon Reed pulled off, and John Bowler made the start this time, but pulled into the pits after a few laps.